What's up, guys? I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ken, and welcome to Comic Rewind. This is the show where we take a random comic book from our old collection and we just kind of talk about it.
Today I'm talking about Azrael #1. It's from 1995. This is the pickup story arc for Azrael right after the Batman Nightfall story. So right after Bane breaks Batman, Batman at the time was kind of in and out with Azrael, who is known as, his real name is Jean-Paul Valley.
Yeah, I remember that super cool 90s stuff.
Oh,
the
yeah.
big armor.
Yeah, excellent and red and awesome.
I remember the first time I saw Azrael, he had like a big giant flaming sword.
Yeah, and
I was like,
he
wow.
was big for like the big spiky shoulders and claw, like gauntlets. Big
when he was
daggers.
Batman, his fingers were like blades.
Yeah,
they were like
he
razors.
could, like shoot razors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Concept by Dennis O'Neil and Joe Quesada, actually, were the two collaborators that put this character together.
That's cool.
During the Batman saga and stuff, while all that was going on.
Marvel's.
Yeah,
kind of
Marvel's
the
very
savior.
own. Yeah, Marvel's very own.
At a time.
At the time, Azrael and Batman were kind of back and forth. They would, to a point they got so good at switching back and forth that people couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Well, after the Nightfall saga, Batman comes back and actually has to fight for, pretty much has to take the cowl back from Jean-Paul.
Nightfall was that whole big thing where Bane, like, kind of killed it. He broke his back and just took Batman out of commission.
Yeah.
So he had to pick this guy.
Took him off the table, which was shortly ran right after the death of Superman.
It was crap.
We killed Superman. Let's kill Batman. Let's
wipe out everybody because that's cool.
Yeah, let's wipe out what we're using to sell books.
Yeah. I don't know. I still liked a lot of them books at the time. Though,
yeah, so this was February of '95. This was the very first issue after Nightfall. This is what Azrael did after he pretty much got his ass kicked and they took the Batman back from him. So, but we start off, where we start is just opening up, and it's really solid 90s art, so it's big stuff going on and crazy detail.
Is that a devil Batman?
It is a demonic devil Batman, surrounded by flames.
That's a nice opening page there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And what's
cool
even better
image.
of the opening page is, what Jean-Paul hears is, give me your shoes.
Give me your shoes.
Give me your shoes.
Of
Batman
course.
is robbing Jean-Paul Valley, robbing Azrael, which in this...
Very gangster.
He's in his Batman armor, and, he's all Jean-Paul Azrael Batmaned out.
Yeah.
And Batman's trying to take his shoes. You're not exactly sure why, but...
so
I understood that was a hood.
Maybe there were tacks on the ground.
Maybe. But, Jean-Paul, yo, you ain't taking my shoes, man. I'll pay for these. These are my shoes.
I see. He's like, no.
After a really, the whole time surrounded by fire and just chaos going on.
I see. I'm seeing here he's turning from the Azrael outfit suddenly to the Azrael Batman outfit.
Yeah,
like
well,
the cowl change.
he kind of, in the beginning, he kind of starts off as Azrael Batman and then starts going back into just
oh,
being
okay,
Azrael.
I see. It's shifting the other way.
Yeah.
It's hard. It starts off with such cool imagery of Demon Batman.
Yeah, it just hooks you in.
Yeah.
He actually beats Demon Batman. So he gets to retain his shoes as the, undefeated shoe champ.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the kicks.
Immediately after he beats Batman, Batman starts regressing, and he starts regressing, and it shows you that it was a hallucination. That it wasn't Batman Azrael was fighting, and he wasn't Azrael, it was Jean-Paul Valley, no costume, no tricks, in a street fight with a thug, who was actually trying to take his shoes.
Okay.
And he beat the crap out of him. We find out that that Jean-Paul has been living on the streets after everything that happened. After he got it handed to him by Batman, he's homeless, living in a homeless shelter, hanging out with other, homeless people, other bums.
He looks like Andy Warhol.
Yeah, long shaggy blonde hair, the big glasses.
It's like blonde hair to here and big glasses.
Yeah, and he's hanging out with another homeless guy named Bryans.
Okay.
And he even says, yes, 2 first names or 2 last names. Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which doesn't, it's a 90s thing. It's excellent and red and super cool.
Nice Catwoman ad here.
Yeah, it's ad for a Here Comes the Bride for a Catwoman 90s story. Apparently Catwoman's marrying somebody.
And that sounds better than this.
It does.
Maybe.
So
this is cool though.
As he's hanging out with the bum, he's explaining to him that, the bum's like, man, I don't know where you learned these moves, but it was like poetry in motion, violent poetry, but poetry in motion. And he tells him, he asks him his name, and he tells him, I can't remember. I think it's Jean Paul Valley, but I keep thinking the name Azrael. And the bum,
Andy keeps coming to mind.
And the bum, like, you mean the Archangel of Destruction, Court of Saint, or Church of Saint Dumas, like Jewish religious legacy, Azrael? And he's like, yeah. And I keep thinking I'm Batman. And at this point, now,
of course, that's in there too.
Even the bum, this kind of blows my mind, is that the bum refuses to believe that he's Batman. He says, ask me to believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, a demon, but believing in Batman is like believing in an honest politician. You are not the Batman.
Can't be real.
Yeah, you are not the Batman. And he's like, I am. I'm Azrael. And we cut back to Saint Dumas, which I may be pronouncing that wrong, but we cut back to Saint Dumas where they're training for a new Azrael, but they're questioning whether Jean Paul's still alive or not. We can't replace him.
Like this whole order thing.
Yeah, and we can't replace the leader until the current leader's actually confirmed dead, because then you got a power struggle, and we don't want that. Yeah. Even though we're all crazy. So we go from there. We cut back to Jean Paul's alone, and now he's questioning who he is. And we cut to the bum that was with him, Brian's. And he's attacked.
Can't forget that.
He's attacked by the same guy that just got beat up by Jean Paul trying to take his shoes.
Yeah.
He's looking for Jean Paul. He went and got his crew, went and got his buddies, and now he wants revenge. And when he explains to his friends that he got beat up for trying to steal someone's shoes, he's like, all I did was told him if he didn't give me his shoes, that I'd cut his heart out. And look what he did.
Man.
And look what he did to me. And his eyeball swollen shut and stuff. And they're like, you're kidding. He went all that far over some shoes and you threatened to cut him? I mean, come on.
Hey, man. Walk the streets, you need some kicks.
Right. And if you try to take somebody else's, they're supposed to give them up, not give you a hard time and fight you for them. Give me the shoes. Yes, sir. So, they're helping him try to hunt down Jean Paul. And they run across Brian's, and they tell him that if he doesn't, he's got a bottle of booze, and he tells him, give me your bottle, or I'll cut you. And they end up beating up the homeless guy and taking his bottle, and as they're trying to beat him up, here comes Jean Paul Valley. Comes out to give him a save. When he starts to fight these guys, in his mind, he is Azrael, dressed as Azrael, surrounded by fire, kicking ass. The bum sees it the other way. It's just a guy who's really good at kicking people's ass in the street. Like, he's pulling good moves, and guys are throwing...
He looks super cool.
Yeah.
He does. He looks super cool.
Guys are throwing knives at him, and he's moving and catching them.
Even now, like, that character does look cool.
And once it's all over, he's like, well, where'd all the fire go? We got to call the fire department. And the guy goes, there was no fire except my little campfire, near my box. And he starts kind of realizing that he's losing grip.
Yeah,
he's losing his grip on reality.
Yeah.
He can't let go of what he was and move on with his life. So then we cut miles away to the innards of the Batcave, to a discussion between Batman and Robin. And Robin's asking Batman, Batman's on his way to the Batmobile. He's hopping in, about to take off. And he's, room for two? What do you got going on tonight?
Again, they look great.
Yeah, the art in this is just awesome. It's really good.
I mean, only panel with, like, a true Batman, but, like, he looks great.
He does.
Robin looks good, too.
Yeah, and I can't even say any more than it's just really good art. It's classic 90s art, and a lot of the stuff out of the 90s was really good. But Batman explains to Robin that he's got responsibilities. He's feeling guilty over what happened to Jean Paul. He said, I brought him in, I made him Batman, I kind of twisted his arm into doing it, and I didn't take into consideration how he felt or what would be the repercussions.
Well, I remember at the time reading that the book where he picks him, and it's just kind of like, right off, you're like, really?
Yeah, you're Batman.
Okay.
I'm Batman, you're Batman.
Whatever.
Yeah. So he kind of explains to Robin that, I've got responsibilities to this guy. Whatever happened to him between us, what he's going through now, is kind of my fault. I owe it to him to at least try and help him. So we see Batman, gives you a little idea that maybe at some point that fantasy from the beginning might come true. We might get to see the Batman Azrael fight happen again. But we go back, we cut back to what Brian's and John Paul are doing, and now at one point, they reveal that Brian's, before he was homeless and everything went under for him, was a psychiatrist. And he's trying to help John Paul get his mind together. And also trying to help him find religion.
Is this about to be like Shutter Island, or?
A little bit, but not quite. He's trying to help him get it together, and he tries to help him find religion. And he takes him to a church, and the priest lets him in, is going to let him stay the night. He's kind of running a shelter of his own. And we see, we have a few beds laid out where some people are staying. And there's a knock at the door. And as the priest tries to open the door to tell him, sorry guys, we're full for the night. I just took in the last that I could take in. He's clubbed in the head. And it's revealed that it's the gangsters again. And they decide to give him a hot foot from head to toe. So they torch the church. Now as soon as they light a Molotov, throw it into the church where everyone's sleeping. As soon as it breaks and the flames burst out, the psychiatrist had previously told Jean Paul that a good way to try to fight these problems he's having, these hallucinations, is if you think it's something out of the ordinary that shouldn't be there, just ignore it. Don't let it bother you. Just ignore it. You can't.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah, you can't let it in your mind.
Yeah,
You just block it out. So as the church burns, everyone's, the house is on fire, let's get out of here, we gotta go, run.
Yeah.
We show Jean Paul just sitting on the edge of his bed, head in his hands, just a sad, pathetic mess, and says to himself, when you see something that isn't ordinary or normal, just ignore it, as the entire building burns down around you.
That's cool. I mean, nice issue, great reveal.
Yeah.
Good art. We got a cool one this time, guys.
Had a little bit of a mind twist there with, was he really fighting Batman or he wasn't? He's hallucinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's
when he fights, is he Azrael?
I do gotta say, I felt a lot of Spawn in there.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
well, coming out of the 90s, that's
of course.
Everybody kind of wanted a little bit of. Everybody wanted to dip their finger.
But it's still cool, nonetheless.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good way to go to kick off some Azrael.
Cool. So hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and subscribe. And remember, if you leave comments, there's anybody you want us to talk about, any certain issues, anything like that. If we have it, we'll try and do it. So thanks.
While the church is burning and they leave the priest, somebody went back and stole his shoe.